Hello, welcome to Module 9 in Mindset Mastery. Really excited to share this video with you because for me, this has been a massive area of change and growth. Now, the key concept that we're addressing in this video today is how can I run my race at my pace? I want you to let that sink in for a second because so often in today's busy modern society, people are living in a state of discontentment because they're not achieving their goals as quickly as they'd like. Now, obviously, with the prevalence of social media, we can see all of the best bits of people on social and we can see them living their best life. However, we don't see the work that's gone in behind that. And obviously, with social media, as we've learned, we live often in a state of comparison to that. So what it's created over time is this heightened sense of entitlement and expectation with our goals. Now, for me, I've always been someone who's been really ambitious and driven to achieve my goals. And also, I was around people that were high achievers and wanted to set big goals. You know, I'm sure you've heard this. Set big goals because that'll help you grow and that'll stretch you. The issue with setting big goals is that there's big consequences in doing so. What we can often feel is this kind of sense of discontentment, or that we're not being the best that we can be, we're not living up to our own internal expectations. Because these goals, they place stress, pressure, and anxiety onto our life, specifically when we don't actually achieve them in the time frame that we want. Now, this is the key with goal setting. Now, you've just set your own goals. You've started to understand your values and you're starting to look at, okay, what are the types of things that I want to achieve and how do I want to live my life? Now, there are multiple threats to your goals and we're going to address them in the upcoming modules. This is just one of them. Time frames are the enemy to your goals. You see, when we place a time frame on the goal, we're putting a lot of pressure on ourselves. Now, with anything new, it's going to take you a long time. You know, when I look back at a lot of the things that I've achieved in my career, it's often taken me 3 or 4 times longer than what I initially expected. Now, back then, I was so driven that I would actually go through a process of beating myself up. Now, I'm sure that you've done this and it's a natural human trait. You beat yourself up because you feel like you're not doing well enough. And that just makes you unproductive, right? The other thing is that having time frames that are short and condensed, it sets you up for repeated failure. And it makes it easier to quit. Now, the whole thing with failure is that failure, for me, is really good for us. It is essential for our growth as human beings and for actually achievement of our goals to have failures along the way. It's just how we choose to accept them, right? So what we have to do is we have to learn how to reframe failure and see failure as a good thing for us. It's beneficial, right? Now, there's many ways that failure is beneficial for us, but a couple of ways are, how is this helping my future self? This is a question we can actually ask ourselves when we start to experience a little bit of adversity, when we start to experience a little bit of resistance to achieving our goals. It's not going to be smooth sailing. It's going to be hard. It's going to be a grind. You're pushing into realms that you've never been. You're learning things that you don't know, right? So don't expect it to be easy. Expect it to be hard. Expect it to be actually worse than what you think. Then maybe it might be easier. So what we have to understand is that we're going to experience failure. But in the moment of failure, as we've learned, mastering the moments that matter, we have to ask ourselves key critical questions, which is, how is this helping my future self? Because then we can draw the positivity from it. We can draw the lesson, right? Because each failure is just a lesson if you choose it to be. But if you stay in that cycle of repetitive failure and you never actually draw the positivity or the learnings and the lessons, and you just keep implementing the same strategies without change, then that's true failure, right? It's only failure if you quit, you give up, and you stop trying. So the relationship I have with achievement, success, and my goals now is one that's a lot more fluid and relaxed. I don't feel the pressure to perform or to achieve like I once did before because I've erased all of the expectations of myself and I've taken away all of the time frames. Now, this creates space for me to just be. I can just kind of breathe in that place. I can draw the information. There's no pressure or stress on myself to get this done, because the when you achieve it, when you get there, like whatever there is for you, you will get there. It's just when. So when you move into a position where you go, you know what, I'm never going to quit. I'm going to just keep pushing through every setback and adversity there is. I'm going to keep learning the lessons required to achieve this thing. Then you know that you're going to get there. It's going to take you however long it takes you. And that's just what goals are. They take however long they take. You're on an individual journey. You're not here to compete with anyone else. So, to keep you mentally engaged during this period of time, we have to cultivate success through practice. Now, what do we practice? Well, we practice patience. We practice humility. We practice gratitude. When we're working on these three things, it's really difficult to then go and tear yourself apart and quit and move into destructive behavioral patterns like procrastination or distraction, right? We've learnt about that. We don't want to go back into that place. We've set goals now. You're in a good place. What we want to do is we want to help you push through. And this is the most important thing, to get you started and get you that feeling of success, because success breeds success. But you must be patient. It's such a long game to achieve things that are noteworthy, right? So patience is really important. How do we practice patience? You know, you might be someone who is impatient, who gets easily frustrated. You feel restless. In those moments, take a deep breath, relax, come back to your goal and tell yourself, I have no time frames on this. I will get there when I get there. I release all expectation of myself, and I release this burden off myself, right? That's how you start to practice patience. It's all about letting go. Humility, the other thing, is so important, because often we get so proud that we don't actually learn the lesson, that it's just getting banged into our head over and over. Like I said, it's taken me 3 or 4 times longer many of the times to achieve the goals that I want to achieve, but I've had to learn lessons 3 or 4 times over as well, because at times pride was the barrier for me learning the lesson. Now this is, where I didn't ask for help, or I didn't actually do the research that I needed to do. I didn't have the humility in those moments to accept that I may have been wrong, or my approach may have been wrong. So humility, so important. And then gratitude, because when we're grateful, it's really hard for us to be in a state of discontentment. When we're finding things daily that we can be grateful for, just simple things, it really helps us create a state of feeling really joyful, really happy, and it creates like a gentle daily motivation. We're not going into the big peaks, but we're staying in a place where we're quite neutral. So let's quickly recap. You've set an amazing goal, but this is a threat. The threat is that modern day society is telling you to achieve faster than ever before. I want you to disregard that. Take away all the expectations internally and externally on yourself. Then understand that time frames are the enemy here. Take away all the time frames. Then we must learn that failure is necessary to achieving great things. So we're going to reframe that in your mind right now. Understand failure is good. Lean into it, enjoy it, embrace it. Ask yourself the questions in the key moments in time. How is this challenge or this problem helping my future self, right? Take the lesson from failure and then implement that into a new strategy to change, whilst you're maintaining successful practices of practicing patience, practicing humility, and practicing gratitude in these situations, so that you don't become derailed. You don't become disenchanted with your goals. You don't procrastinate. You don't go into self-sabotage cycles. You just stay on that steady, slow burn, increasing over time until eventually you're going to achieve the goals and your dreams and your deepest desires and ambitions. This is how we do it, guys. So I'm really excited to see you in Module 10, where we'll go into another one of the threats to achieving the goals that you want. And I can't wait to share that content with you. So make sure you lean into this. And what I want you to do after this video is I want you to, one, create a gratitude list, things that you can become grateful for in your life right now. But then number two, I also want you to look at a list of failures. So write down a list of things that you may have failed at, in your mind, failed, over the course of your life. And what I want you to do is, with your mature mind now, go back into those situations and look at the lesson. And did you take the lesson from those experiences? If you haven't, it's a great opportunity for growth. I will see you in Module 10.